Hello, brother priests and ambassadors throughout the Diocese of Boise. Just like to share with you the overview of what the Vocations Office is seeking to do to develop priests from our own parishes and our own families and communities. Here's what we've been up to. In January, we had the big called by name mass and reception with Bishop Peter at the cathedral. About 70 young men attended this event. Then I went on a mini tour throughout the diocese, visiting all the deaneries and did these navigation nights. It was a simple template, easy to replicate. We basically did a fun activity, either basketball or dodgeball, then went on a rosary walk. Then I had dinner, usually pizza, and gave a little presentation on either the priesthood or the Sons of St. Joseph, which I'll tell you more about here shortly. And so, altogether, about 130 or 140 young men attended these events when we add up all the numbers throughout the diocese. And there are many more who couldn't attend, but who would have attended had they had the opportunity. So, these are young men that are raising their hands and saying, yeah, I'm open to the priesthood. Not necessarily I'm going to go to the priesthood tomorrow, to the seminary tomorrow, but I'm open to it. And here's one example. Xavier Ryan, you can
My
watch this
name's
video in
Derek.
full,
I
but
want to
here's one
follow on it
example of a young
and what
man
I want.
expressing his desire to become
Every
a
time
priest.
I look at that, it's
I'm Xavier. I'm from Boise. And I just wanted to say that throughout the majority of my childhood, I was completely bent on being a priest. Like, I was totally, I'm gonna be a priest. But puberty hit, and of course, I start thinking, marriage is always an option. And I'm like, oh, this sounds like a good idea. But every time I hear a priest talk about it, or every time I go to a vocations event like this, it's always completely overridden by the desire to become a priest. Even if I leave and the desire to for marriage comes back, I'm like, I want that again. Every time I come back to thinking about being a priest and come back to mass or something like that, it's overridden by a want to be a priest and just this greater desire past just the human body and desires.
And now the question for us becomes, what do we do with these young men that they're coming up and they're saying, yeah, I'm interested in the priesthood. What can I do going forward? And if we just think about an aspiring musician or an aspiring athlete, if they came up to their instructor or their coach and said, I want to be a professional musician or professional soccer player, the coach, they would say this, but they wouldn't only say this. They would say, well, be open to it or pray about it. They could encourage that, but that's not all that they would do. They would certainly invest a lot of time and effort. They would bring together the right resources to encourage them, to build them up, to develop the necessary skills and virtues that are required for the craft. And of course, it's not a perfect analogy with the priesthood, but there's something to it that we want to develop these young men into a position of deciding whether or not to apply to the seminary. And so that's what these programs are seeking to do, because perhaps there has been a gap. We have great youth programs throughout the diocese, and we have altar serving programs in every parish, but there's nothing between that and a young man deciding to go to the seminary. There's a big gap in between these two spots. And perhaps these two holes here can be filled by these two programs, the Templars and the Sons of St. Joseph. So I'll give you a quick overview of each. The Templars is basically a varsity team of altar servers. It's only for high school young men, and it's a national program that we're tapping into. We've been running it here at OLV for the last 6 months, and there are a few other parishes that are in the process of implementing it in their parish as well. Here's a 30-second clip about that program.
As a Knight of the Holy Temple, we are based on the pillars of brotherhood, worship, and service to the Church.
I feel like being a knight, it means a greater calling to serve God and to serve your brothers. That's why I feel so honored to be in the Knights, is because I have plenty of opportunities at Mass to be close to God, plenty of opportunities for adoration, and I also feel like it's a calling to serve your brothers, because we're all one big brotherhood, so if anyone needs any help, they can always just ask and everyone will be there. And we all love and care for each other, and that's what I think it means to be a knight.
So the Knights of the Holy Temple, or the Templars, here we call it the Templars, so to not get it confused with the Knights of Columbus. But either way, the Templars have been a great program here in our parish. It's already been bearing a lot of fruit. We have a good group of guys that are invested in the liturgy, wanting to learn more, wanting to pray more reverently, also wanting to develop a personal prayer life. and do service projects for the parish and beyond, go on outings. They're planning a hiking trip, they're planning a retreat for the younger servers, they're helping the younger servers to be more interested in the liturgy. And so this is only for high school young men, not necessarily for young men that are open to the priesthood, but for all the high school young men who want to go a little bit deeper and be a little bit more intentional about their Catholic life. And then from there, there is the funnel, so to speak, into the Sons of St. Joseph. And this is really the main program for the young men who are open to the priesthood. So a brotherhood for men and young men open to the priesthood. And here's the last video I'll show. It's a 2-minute video that Joe Egbert put together to promote this program.
If you're looking for comfort, walk away. But you're looking for greatness, for brotherhood, for God. You're not alone. It can be difficult to step out on a journey toward the priesthood. The good news is, you were never meant to step out alone. This journey has always been traveled as a group. And that's why we've established the Sons of St. Joseph, a brotherhood of men and young men open to the priesthood. We will go on epic adventures, form good Christian habits, grow in virtue, forge Christ-centered friendships, develop our relationship with God the Father, and discover who we truly are, beloved sons. So if you are a young man who loves God, loves the Catholic Church, and is open to the priesthood, do yourself a favor. Rise up, be bold, come and see. Join the Sons of St. Joseph.
You saw some clips there, both of the Templars here at OLV and also previous hiking trips and the sermon retreats that we've done over the last few years. And so this is an attempt to bring it all together to say that these are men and young men who are open to the priesthood and are seeking to grow in their Christian life together, in their relationship with God the Father together, and growing in our identity of being beloved sons together. And hopefully from here, they'll be in a better position to decide whether or not to apply to the seminary. We're going to need to make this visible to the whole diocese. And there are some efforts of promoting that. Here's a nice banner for the Sons of St. Joseph that you can purchase from Vianney Vocations. Here's another, let me see if I can zoom in on this. A display, an example of a display in our narthex. It says priesthood and religious life consecrated to Christ. Has a picture of the seminarians, a couple of posters about the priesthood and religious life, information about the seminarians and the Sons of St. Joseph, and also some religious sisters. But so the ambassadors, this is the role of the ambassadors, it would be to have these displays and banners in high foot traffic areas, wherever there are young men that are doing Catholic things, whether that's in the narthex, in the youth room, and even helping promote it in families, in their life, in their homes, and also getting announcements out in the bulletins and mass announcements, social media, things like that, website, in order to make the Sons of St. Joseph more and more visible over time throughout the diocese. We'll get started in May 1st here for this first year, and then we'll see how many guys we get to apply and be a part of that. But we want to keep running this every year. And so the more ambassadors we have, ideally, eventually we'll have an ambassador in every parish, every school, every high school program throughout the diocese, helping get the word out and really facilitating communication about all of these efforts. So that's the role of the ambassadors. So I think in 3 years we can have the Templars chapter in every parish, and we can have a Sons of Saint Joseph chapter in every deanery, a local chapter. There are two types of these chapters. One is a local chapter, the other is a Zoom option. And we'll get going on that right away for guys around the diocese who are not able to join in person for the Thursday night meetings. They can join online and then also join in on the trips over the summer and trips to the seminary, do those in person, of course. All of the details for Sons of St. Joseph are on the website, idahovocations.com/Joseph. But I just want to give you an overview here of the big picture of the vocations office efforts. And of course, the priests of the diocese are the MVPs. So the more priests that are engaged with these efforts, that are investing time and an evening, investing, just spending time with guys, there's no substitute for that. And we'll give the resources and the templates and the tools to as far as what to do with the guys, but just spending time with the guys is really indispensable. It can be a lot. This program can be a lot more fruitful if the more of our priests, the more that our priests are engaged. I was speaking with a priest. I won't say his name just in case he wouldn't want this information to be shared. But I was talking with him about all of this, and he said, "Oh, it all sounds great. I'm gonna have so and so do it." And I said, "No, Father, it has to be you." And he said, "Why does it have to be me?" And I said, "Well, in short, because it's going to be 10 times more fruitful if it's you. And this really needs to become our number one priority." And he stopped for a second and he said, "Darn it, Father Nelson, I hate it when you're right." And it's not about me being right, but this is true, right? That this needs to become our number one priority due to the tremendous shortage of priests that we have. And it is going to be a lot more fruitful the more that we are engaged with this. Now, I understand that we're all stretched so thin, so we can't invest a night a week every week and do programming and stuff like that. And so I've kind of designed these 5 tiers, and you can see what these 5 tiers are on idahovocations.com/priests. Also, if you go on the main page and you just click here, priest, you will see, these different levels here. So levels 1 through 5. And either, level 1 is just recruiting an ambassador and then also preaching about it on a regular basis. So growing awareness. There are 2 tracks, one for the Templars, one for the Sons of St. Joseph, or you can do both. And then eventually we'll also have things for the young women, the handmaids of the Eucharist and the daughters of Our Lady. The handmaids of the Eucharist are already going here at Our Lady of the Valley. And maybe next year we can promote it throughout the diocese. But then something like the daughters of Our Lady, parallel to the Sons of St. Joseph. This, of course, for down the road, but different levels of engagement. So from low level to high level. But I think we can all get invested in level 1, and then over time build up to level 5. So that Thursday night will eventually become priesthood development night. This is just a night that we all devote to developing our future priests. And the whole diocese can have this mentality, that Thursday night we need to pray for priests, and we need to spend time with our young men and to help them develop and help them to choose to go to the seminary, God willing. And this is all because the priesthood is the love of the heart of Jesus. So we're just seeking to make the love of the heart of Jesus more present and more known throughout the diocese. Okay, I pray that this is helpful. Feel free to reach out if you have any questions or any ways that I can help. As I shared, all the Sons of St. Joseph information is on here on the website, and this website is getting more updated. The ambassador information is here as well. Soon there will be on here the vocation seeds, which is basically handpicked things to purchase for your parish. And that's not here yet, but maybe it will be by the time you're watching this video. But already you can go on the Vienna Vocation store and browse through all the things that they have here to make all this more visible. But as I shared, there's a poster that they made for us already for the Sons of St. Joseph. And actually, if you look at this here, there's a nice kind of setup with the prayer for vocations, the Sons of St. Joseph, and a priesthood poster. So you can buy these from the Vienna Vocation store. And and have those in your narthex. And you can start thinking about how you're going to set up your display, with the seminarian poster and so forth. All right. Reach out to me if I can be of assistance. My email for all of this is priest@idahovocations.com. Priest@idahovocations.com. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful day or evening, and God bless.